Mr. Petrie, you may continue.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, I would tender for the record D-29, which is the a recording of the previous interview with Mr. Potter and Melanie White. And as we discussed, there are just two prior inconsistent parts we asked to play. I believe the state has had an opportunity to review those at this time. And with the court's permission, I'll ask Mr. Williams to play that for the jury now.
Well, is there any objection to D-29?
I have an objection to the entire DVD coming into evidence. I do not have an objection to the portion that Mr. Petrie indicated he wanted to play being admitted into evidence.
All right.
I think we've got to introduce the whole thing to the record, Your Honor.
You do. The 29 in its entirety will be introduced. Those sections that you want played to the jury will be played at this time, and they will make a determination on whether it is consistent or inconsistent.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, I would just object to any other portion of the DVD being played.
You may. And if something is being played that you do not believe should be played, please stand and make an objection, and I will stop it at that point in time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Petrie, is it audio only or a transcript and audio?
It's just audio.
Okay, that's fine. You may proceed.
We have a hand-scribbled transcript that wouldn't help anybody.
I understand.
So after he tells you that she gave in, okay, that doesn't keep going on. I mean, about her at all, other than the specific details of what happened.
Yes, he would talk about her a lot.
Even after, I mean, after they got back,
Yes.
he was calling anything specific in those comments.
Just that he was crazy about her.
At this point, was she crazy about him?
He indicated to me that they were.
Since it stopped, the jury indicated based on hand signals and gestures, I interpreted that to me they could not hear.
Thank you.
And I will request on their behalf, can you make it louder? Was that in its entirety? I mean, you can play it again. I don't know.
I think that's just the first 10 seconds, Your Honor.
That's fine. Play as much as you like, but just turn it up louder if you want them to hear it. Cannot hear it, Mr. Petrie.
I think it's not playing.
Okay. That explains it, Mr. Petrie.
So after he tells you that she gave in, okay, that doesn't keep going on. I mean, about. So after he tells you that she gave in, okay, that doesn't keep going on. I mean, about her at all, other than the specific details of what happened.
Yes, he would talk about her a lot.
Even after, I mean, after they got back,
Yes.
he was calling anything specific in those comments.
Just that he was crazy about her.
At this point, was she crazy about him?
He indicated to me that they were compatible and that they felt like they were soulmates.
Again.
Again.
Okay.
But again, she was never going to leave her kids and husband.
Right. But he made that clear to you.
He made that clear to me, and I made it clear to him to leave her alone.
Right.
And he would say that he got an email from her that said whatever it said at the end that made him feel like she cared.
But it was his, I mean, did he say whatever it said, or?
Yeah, he probably read it to me when I was on the phone with him, but
Did you think anything of it?
no.
So there was nothing specific that you can remember that she may have said to him?
No?
Okay. Do you recall him sending you an email, or do you have any of those, did you have email contact with him?
To sending her. And he copied me and forwarded it to me to ask me my opinion. And I don't even think I still have it. I mean, it was just so, just get over it and get on with your life.
Is that the first segment?
Yes,
All right, you may continue to the next segment.
Okay, so when he gets back from London, does he call you between the three of London?
Yes, he called quite often. You know, I listened. Quite honestly, I thought I was going to get some business. I mean, I thought he was going to have to sell his house, so I was friendly. I mean, I'm sorry. Business is business. I mean, I wasn't overly friendly, you know, but...
Now, so does he tell you anything else? Does he continue
To,
to talk about it?
yes, he does.
What's he telling you?
He tells me that they care for each other, but they both knew that they couldn't act on it.
That he told you that she actually told him that she does care.
They were soulmates, that's what he said.
He said that they were, or she said, he said, she said.
He said that they discussed that they were soulmates, that they just really gelled well together.
Didn't act on it. Okay. Anything else that would be kind of a red flag?
Not at that time.
Okay, not at that time. All right, so
thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Petrie.
Mr. Potter,
You may continue.
hearing that, those clips, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury whether or not Melanie ever told you anything about Andrea, quote, going to the bathroom to finish herself off?
No, sir. She did not.
And you asked Mrs. White whether or not there was anything else that she could tell you about the nature of their relationship, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she gave you some details,
Some, yes, sir.
and including some intimate details.
Yes, sir. We were at a Starbucks and there were people around, so I don't know if that might have been what slowed her down from talking to me openly or not.
But she never said, hey, let me email you or fax you or text you later. You asked her if there's anything else, and she said no.
That's correct.
And you asked her what she recalled about the order of the trips, and she told you that as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
One moment, please.
All right, you may. You say you at a Starbucks?
Yes, sir. And
What are you
Dunwoody.
doing an interview at a, I'm just asking.
That was close to her place of business, so we just met up there.
Do they have private rooms where you can talk or do the interviews?
No, sir. It was packed.
It was packed.
Yes, sir.
Very briefly.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
What order did she tell you the Greenville-London trips were?
I don't specifically recall. I know that there was a Greenville trip prior to London and then after London. I'm not sure which one it was that she was referring to.
Whatever order she told you was recorded during that interview that you had with her at Starbucks.
Yes, sir. That was her recollection at that time.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right. Any redirect? Ms. Cross, is Ms. Cross? Yes.
No, Your Honor, this witness may be excused from
All right. Any objection to him being excused?
No, sir.
All right, you may come down, Investigator Potter. Call your next witness, please. Mr. Pasquale, call your next witness.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to publish clip 11-1, which is from State's Exhibit 1C.
11-1. You may. Is this visual? I mean, it's got the video and audio?
Now, you indicate again that you were fearful of him, you thought he might kill you, and you were worried he was stalking you.
That's correct.
But still, on January 3rd,
That's right.
you set up a meeting with him to see him at GE.
Yep, I needed to see it for my own eyes.
So you weren't that afraid of him, were you?
Not anymore.
Do you remember telling police when they asked you if anybody was trying to break up your marriage? No.
on November 19th. Is that what we're talking
Yes, they
about?
asked you, is anybody trying to break up your marriage? And you said no.
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay. We went through the emails
Yes.
that indicate he said, I love you.
Yes.
That indicate marry me.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Did that not cross your mind that someone was trying to break up your marriage?
No, I'm a pretty, when it comes to relationships, Rusty's the only person I've ever been with, only person that I met him when I was 18. Not really savvy in relationship know-how. And was I naive in this situation? It's possible. But that's not break up your marriage. Break up your marriage is, bust down into your house, I don't know, something like that.
If he asks you to marry him, if you were to marry him, you couldn't be married to Rusty.
Yeah, well, did I respond in any way?
I didn't ask if you were.
Okay.
The question from the police was someone trying to break up your marriage, and you said no.
That's correct. I did.
Why?
Because that doesn't seem like breaking up my marriage. It's not like he was doing something physical to break up my marriage. Anyway.
Okay, you admitted that when you went to the police on January 4th, you wanted to discuss the investigation and what was going on and what the answers were, right?
Yes, sir.
And you wanted to know what they were doing on this area or this person or that person, right?
Yes.
And you admitted, even though in late December you told Tammy Parker you knew who it was, you never told them on January 4th, I know who it is, it's Hemi Newman, did you?
That's correct.
You took them down a rabbit hole and tried to get them to look at all these other people, didn't you?
No, sir, I did not.
Why were you protecting the defendant?
I was not.
Why didn't you mention his name?
Have you seen what's happened to my life? Have you noticed?
Seen what's happened to Rusty?
Have you noticed what's happened to my life since Hemi was murdered? Since Hemi murdered my husband?
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender, for the record, State's Exhibit 96. A copy has been tendered to the defense. It's a list of all the state's clips that were published to the jury with the clip range and the exhibit number that it's from for the purpose of the record. The only discrepancy from my notes is when 7-1 was announced, it was actually a multi-clip where 7-1 and 7-2 were played sequentially. They were on two separate discs.
All right.
So that's for the record, State's 96.
Mr. Petrie, is this your issue?
It can be, Your Honor. That sounds right to me.
Okay. All right. All right. No objection to S96. Thank you, Mr. Petrie.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, Mr. Pasquale, call your next witness. I'm sorry, Mr. James.
Your Honor, at this point, the state rests subject to the admission of our exhibits.
All right. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, the state of Georgia has rested its case. All right. What I'm going to do is take a matter up. If you could step into the jury room, please. That's you, ladies and gentlemen. Lawyers approach.
Jeff Hellinger back with Tom Beaver, and we are here as 11 Alive's coverage of the Andrea Sneiderman trial continues. Judge Adams still on the bench right now. They have taken about a minute to 2 minutes off at this point. We're silence in the courtroom. You're taking a look at Andrea Sneiderman right now, who has been very quiet today, no emotion. We have seen her at various times buoyant, not today, but in the past, very expressive, very happy, at times very tearful, as we saw on Thursday and Friday, but today, really not a lot of emotion for her. And that may be a result of the testimony has been pretty clinical for the most part.
It has been. Now, this may change because they're now starting to play film clips of the trial from the Hemi Newman case of a year ago, where Sneiderman was testifying, and so she may get emotional during those parts. We'll see. But it would appear that they're looking to kind of maybe start to lay the groundwork for the false statements part of the case, of what she said before. And they're, even though she may not testify herself, they're certainly going to have her testimony in front of this jury.
Well, we saw that snippet from her during the Hemi Newman trial, which was such a famous, 45-second exchange with the attorney, where she is very snippish, very surly, very fiery, posing the question back to the attorney, have you seen what has happened in my life since the murder of Hemi? I mean, my husband. And that was the soundbite that certainly in local television that those of us ran over and over and over, that really give you a feel of how she was during that trial.
It's and there will be, I suspect that will be a lot more. I don't know whether they're going to be doing that throughout this afternoon or just through the rest of the trial, but the jury is going to see her a lot, regardless of whether she shows emotion in the courtroom or not.
This trial within a trial is unique, but it's interesting, and it does happen.
Yeah, because it's a trial about the last trial, as well as the investigation.
The specter of Hemi Newman hangs heavy in this courtroom still.
It does, and the jury's probably wondering when they're going to see the guy. And that's not going to happen, I don't believe.
All right, back to Judge Adams right here, right now.
On the motions that will be argued, what I'm going to do with the consent of the lawyers, I'm going to go ahead and give them their instructions, let them go home for tonight. As far as the jury, we will remain and deal with the legal arguments after I have dismissed the jury for the evening. All right. Deputy Garrett, with your assistance, if you could bring in the jurors and get in position so I can send them home for this portion. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. You may be seated in a seat. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. You may be seated in a seat. We're good, Deputy Buckles. Okay. All right, ladies and parties, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, as I indicate, the state has rested, and I just need to take up some matters outside of your presence. But instead of you remaining, I'm going to go ahead and let you go home for the evening. It's not that late, but it's relatively early. But when I let you go at this point in time, do not discuss the case or allow anyone to discuss the case with you. I need you to continue to keep an open mind until this process is completed. And we'll go to the next phase. But the defendant does not have to produce any evidence whatsoever. Once I release you for the evening, do not remain upon the floor, because I don't want you to hear anything you should not hear or interact with anyone you should not interact with. Do not read or look at any media coverage pertaining to this case. Do not go upon the internet and do any research about it. It's ongoing. Do not go to any location that may have been made reference to. At this point in time, the evidence will come to you in the form of sworn testimony and any physical evidence that's introduced during the course of the proceeding. You're more than welcome to bring something to snack and eat with you during the moral sessions. Do not consume any alcoholic beverages at lunch. Deputy Garrett will turn back over to you your cell phone and iPhones and iPads and communication devices. You can check your messages, but do not text, email, or communicate with anyone about this case while it is ongoing. As I indicated earlier, lawyers and the parties cannot talk or interact with you, but I don't ever want you to think they're being rude or discourteous. I know earlier today someone submitted a question to the court, and I have conferred with the jury. I'm not going to read the question. I'm just going to the answer is yes to that question. And you, whoever wrote the note, you know what the question was, so you know what the answer was. The answer is yes to that question. Hold on, let me make sure I said it correctly. Yes, the answer is yes, based upon how that was written. I'm going to release you at this point in time. Leave your notepads there in the jury room. Turn your notes face. I know one's going to look at your notepads. You will get additional notepads if you need them, or writing instruments if needed. We're going to reassemble tomorrow at 9 o'clock a.m. 9 o'clock a.m. So you're free to go follow the instructions of Deputy Garrett. Have a good evening. Get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock a.m. Lawyers and parties remain. Is that someone? Oh, that's a Kleenex box. I thought someone's jacket was there. That's a Kleenex box. No problem. You can just put it there on the end. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Get some rest. All right, lawyers and parties, you may be seated. All right, lawyers, we will go into, who's going to do the motion, the first motion?
Your Honor.
All right. Yes, sir, Mr. Chalmers.
Thank you, Your Honor.